Hello everyone. I see a lot of people joining in. So, I haven't seen you all in a while, haven't heard from you all in a while, and we have a very important date coming up, which is January 22nd. That's the day when you will be able to see the presentations for the courses that will be used in second grades or teaching our younger students. So don't forget about all of those important dates. Okay. Yes, the chat is open. Irina is here for me to help me give you some important links that will allow you to see the information about those courses. So also, if you have any questions, you can send them into the chat box, and I will be happy to answer those before we have to start the webinar. And yeah, or maybe if you have some questions for Irina, I think she will also be happy to help you. Okay, let me, yes, hello from Kharkiv, hello. Olena Shvetsova wrote in the Q&A box, hello, hello. Okay. So, I know a lot of you took part, along with your students, took part in our Christmas contest, Winter Fairy Tales. Thank you so much for that, because I wasn't, not to say that I wasn't prepared to receive so many works from you, so many awesome fairy tales with different meanings put into them, with different characters that you and your students decided on, and it was a lot of fun. So can you tell me in the Q&A box, are you able to write something in the chat box? Because I'm sure that I turned the chat box on. It says that all can write in the chat box. Okay, let me see. Okay, can you try one more time? Yay! The chat is working. Awesome. Okay, hello everyone. Hello. Hello, Євгенія from Кривий Ріг. Кропивницький, hello. Hello, Poltava, Smila, Lviv. I missed so much seeing all of you right in the chat box. Where are you from? Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. Hi. Oh my God. I can't tell you how much I missed you. I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I missed you all so much. Maybe some of you are willing to share how did you spend your winter break? What interesting things were you up to during the holidays? Ковель from Volyn region, Прилуки, Dnipro. Hello, everyone. Hello. It's nice to see you here. Okay, Житомир region. I see a lot of familiar names. Київ, Львів. Hello. Київ, Ромни. Hello. Тернопіль region. Київ, Одеса, Чернівці, Харків, Нікополь. Hello. Okay. So, Poltava region. Okay. So, can you tell me, what did you do on your winter break when you didn't have to grade tests, see your students? So were you just sleeping in or doing some teacher stuff? Чуднів, Житомир region, Вінниця, hello, Кременчук, hello. Okay. Черкаси. Hello. Because to be honest with you, yes, hello, Дунаївці, Хмельницький region, okay, Миргород. To be honest with you, I was able to sleep in a little bit, but despite having a break, work was still present in my life. So I'm being honest with you. And as much as I would like to leave work and not have access to it, the Rivne region, hello, I'm from Zdolbunів, not too far away from Rivne. So hello, hello, Ужгород. Yeah, it's leave the work to the side and not work during your break or during your vacation time. It's not possible, at least for me in some way. Okay, cooked, watched YouTube, cleaned everything everywhere. Yeah, okay, I learned Joe does and so. Oh, interesting. Okay, hello from Кам'янка, Черкаси region, hello. So, somebody cleaned, somebody learned the song, but Sergey, hello, hello, nice to meet you too. So, have you read maybe some interesting books while you were on your winter break? That's my last question before we start the official part of the webinar. I work to work and write reports. Yes. The winter break for you, usually for school teachers, is the period where you fill out the programs, yeah, with the students' marks. Yes. Oh, vacation in England. Wow, sounds really good. Sounds really good. Okay, okay, awesome. So, are we ready to start? Okay, Margarita, very nice. Prepared for the lessons, conducted a few, sent on and played with the daughter outside. Yeah. So the winter break is for hard work, but summer break is for relaxation. Yeah, because we have vacation time there and we can let go of all of the duties, of all of the teacher duties, right? Okay, very good. So once again, I will remind you about the competition, I guess we can say it, we can call it that, where the school teachers are able to choose the courses, the books that they will be using for the second graders. Sadly, the books for the first grade weren't printed. Not because we didn't want to, we wanted to very much so. Hopefully they will be printed for the next school year. And we hope that the books for the second graders will be printed by our government with the support of our government. So we hope that it will all come together. So let's start the official part, right? Okay, hello Lviv, Ужгород, Чернівці, hello. So, as you saw, the topic of today's webinar is cultural identity, yes? So, we called it I am from Ukraine, cultural identity and English lessons in primary school, because to create a cultural identity for a person is probably one of those tasks that we as teachers need to be capable of and we need to be interested in. Because we always say that a student needs to be a person that understands who he or she is, right? Where they live and what their country is all about. So yeah, creating a cultural identity for the students is one of the most important things. Okay, as usual, okay, let me check. Sumi, hello, hello, Sumi. Okay, so as usual, right? About me and how you can contact me if you have the need to. As usual, about 10 years of experience working with English. I know how it is to work with NUSH standards in primary school and in secondary school because I was one of those teachers that got to experience working with the students in both. Okay, Irina, I will ask you to hide yourself. Thank you very much, to turn off your camera. Okay, I worked with a lot of different age groups. I very much enjoy working with digital resources and creating them. So, okay, Irina. Oh, thank you, Irina. Thank you. Kharkiv, hello. So, to contact me, you can use my mobile phone that you see on the slide. And of course, you can use my email address. And if you don't want to burden yourself with calling or writing an email, you can find our Facebook page. And our manager will gladly give me your request, your question that you have for me. But personally, I will ask you to use the first two. You can write me on Telegram, on Viber, so you don't have to even call me. You can just text me. Okay, next, as usual, the certificate. So the certificate will be sent out to you within 3 working days. So as you can see on the slide, it says January 18th. So it doesn't mean that you will receive the certificates in your email boxes right at 9 a.m. on January 18th. Sometime throughout the day, you will receive a letter from our service and you will be able to access your certificate. Please be sure to check if your certificate is really missing. Remember that when we talk about Google and when we have access to Irina, can you turn off your camera because you're popping up again? Okay, thank you. Once again, when we have access to our certificates with the link that you receive in your emails, you will have 2 folders. One is called для швидкого доступу, and you can open it and you can find the list of participants and you can check. You can look through that list and find your name and surname. But also please remember how you wrote your name and surname when you were registering for the webinar. Did you write it in Ukrainian, in English? Because sometimes it's different each time. Okay. If for some reason you haven't received your certificate, you haven't found it, please be sure to contact me and I will be glad to help you out. Okay, so our agenda for today. Hello from Dnipro, hello. So our agenda for today. We will look at the definition of cultural identity. We will talk about the specifics of this definition and of course of the components that create the cultural identity. We will also talk about how cultural identity is connected to social-emotional learning, which is probably one of the best ways of learning anything in the world. And of course, what role cultural identity plays in studying English for young learners. Okay, now I will ask you to be just as active in the chat box as you were at the start. So I will show you a picture, yeah? So can you give me an answer in the chat box? What makes these children different from each other? Or maybe they are all the same. So in your own opinion, what makes them different when you look at the picture? Can we say that they are different? Or yes, nationality, okay. What else is different besides nationality? Or the nationality, age, okay, good, age. Yeah, personality, smile, male, age, good. Yeah, appearance, very good, yeah. Clothes, hobbies, interests, yeah. So we all know, and we always like to say that each child, each student is different, right? Yes, when it comes to the age, the gender, their origins, yeah, where they come from, not in the terms of who created them, but the ground, yeah, their place of birth. Yes, so they are all very, very different. If there are maybe two similar people, we can call them twins, but even twins have their differences, right? So yeah, everybody is different, starting from their appearance, from their nationality, their age, and everything else. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. So let's dive deeper into what is cultural identity, right? So we have two parts that help create this meaning, this big meaning that some probably are not afraid of, but pretty much stumped, if I say so myself. So of course we have the culture part, right? So culture in the context of cultural identity is beliefs are, sorry, not is, are the beliefs, the norms, the behaviors, and of course the values that are given by the group of people in which a person lives in, and that are deemed acceptable for those people, right? So for example, mom always tells us, yeah, be polite to those who are older than you, yeah, say hello, yeah, be a good person, right? So don't like throw hands when you're not satisfied with something, yeah, so be cordial with people and just do everything as politely as you can, right? So but for some cultures it's okay to so yeah, in Japanese culture or in South Korean culture, you need to bow your head when you greet someone, right? For us it's customary to shake hands or just give a hug or say hello, right? And when we talk about identity, so identity in this context, once again, is about knowing what is acceptable and true for yourself. So of course we are influenced by the culture that surrounds us, but we also have our own values and our own norms that we create for ourselves. And we of course rely on those beliefs and those norms when we make friends, when we interact with others, right? Because treat others as you would want them to treat you, right? As usual, our elders will say. So when we talk about cultural identity, we can say that it's a critical piece of a personal identity and of course the view of the world, right? That develops as you take in all of the influences from those around you. You interpret those that knowledge, yeah, those rules, and of course, either adapt them or reject them, depending on your own values, behaviors, and norms that you created for yourself. So, what are the components, yeah, of the cultural identity? So, first of all, it's, as of course we mentioned earlier, is race or ethnicity, right? Next one is gender, because in some countries it's easier to be a man than be a woman, right? We all know the history of the world and we know which countries work like that. Of course, age is a big part of the cultural identity, because when we talk about age, the age changes, right? We all grow up, we all gather some experience as we grow, and it helps to create our own cultural identity with age. It will change, of course. Next, it's the community that we live in. Religion also is a big part of cultural identity. Either it's the one that your parents chose for you or the one that you chose for yourself. But religion, no matter what, even if you're not a religious person, still will be affecting you as a person. Yes, Oleg says ethnic behavior and ethic outlook. Yeah, languages, yes. You are running ahead of my presentation in the comments. Yes, mental and physical abilities, or maybe even disabilities, right? Because some people are not able to do some things, right? Next is, of course, the generation that we live in, because the influence of the people around us depends on the things that they were surrounded by when they were growing up, right? So I remember listening to my grandparents and to my parents talk a lot, like 15, 20 years ago, that living in the Soviet Union was very, very good. Yeah, the prices were low, the opportunities for work were not far between each other, and so on and so on. But yeah, so listening to that type of talk may influence someone and make them think that it's fine if you don't find a job right after you finish the university, right? You can find a job just if you go out to take a walk, and the job will find you by themselves, right? And language, right? So, of course, the language that we speak and the language that we come in contact with as we grow, as we develop further, right? Okay. So, let's sum up what is cultural identity, yeah? And take a look at some examples. So, cultural identity is a shared sense of identity within a cultural group. So, if I live in Ukraine, I can look at my parents, at my friends, at my distant relatives, right? And I will relate to them, not because I am a member of the family, but because we all have the same beliefs when it comes to certain things. Yeah, we also have the same traditions, right? And of course, we grew up on the same turf, yeah? And we all know what is surrounding us, right? So, the definition, of course, is given to you on the screen. We won't be repeating that one more time, but we need to remember that the cultural identity is created by culture and our own identity coming together. So it's not just the influence of culture, it's the influence of us as a person in what we believe in too. And let's look at the examples. Yeah. So, for example, we have Zulu identity. So this is a nation that is famous, that lives within South Africa, and they are defined by their traditional music. So, for example, if you go to South Africa, everyone will tell you about the Zulus, right? About their rich music history, about their traditional dance, and so on and so on. For example, if you travel to Carpathian Mountains, if you tell your friends that you will travel to Carpathian Mountains, what will your friends say that you will see there, that you will experience there? Of course, they will say that you will see a lot of people that live in the mountains, right? And each region has a different name for them. And of course, you will also hear from your friends that, oh, you will taste some national dishes. You will taste banosh. You will taste, I don't know, like any traditional dish, yeah, that is popular. Yeah, you will discover a whole new culture that is very different from the one that you live in right now. But for the people that live near the Carpathian Mountains, that type of culture is their everyday life, right? It's normal for them. And yeah, different customs, language, nature, yeah. And if, for example, a person who lives in the Carpathian Mountains will travel to, even to Kyiv, right? They will also have a culture shock. Yeah, we can say that. Because, yeah, it's a big city. There's a lot of cars, a lot of people, a lot of movement. They are not used to that much noise surrounding them. They are not used to that many tall buildings, yeah, surrounding them. So it's like that. For someone, it's something unusual, but for someone, it's completely normal, right? And of course, we can take a look at the Japanese culture and people. Yeah, so they are very they usually described as very polite people. Yeah, they're usually described as people that have thousands of years of traditions that they need to follow. Yeah, some rules that they can't break, because if they break some rule, they will be like excluded from the family tree, and it will be like a, I don't know, like the worst thing that can happen to a family, right? If their child will break the tradition. Okay, so when I was preparing, yeah, Olena says they are aliens for us. Yeah, in some ways, you're right. So when I was preparing for this specific webinar, for working on this specific topic, I need to tell you that I was very surprised to see this information out on the interwebs, which was myth about cultural identity. I thought that there is no such thing as mysteries, yes, or myth around the topic of cultural identity. I thought that a lot of people were already familiar with this, but it seems it's not correct, at least on my part. So the first myth that exists about cultural identity is that it's fixed, that it's like cemented. Yeah, it can't change. Of course, it's true. It's not true. I was meant to say not true, but for some reason I said, of course, it's true. So yeah, the cultural identity is dynamic. Because why we can say that? Yes, because some of the components are age, some of the components that we saw before were, of course, the generation that we live in, and all of the other things. They all evolve and change with time. So to say that cultural identity is set in stone, it would be very wrong. And of course, if in a time of digitalization, we are all exposed to different things, thanks to the internet, and of course, thanks to traveling, yeah, around the world. So to say that it's fixed, our cultural identity, it's very, very wrong. Okay, our next myth is that some of us don't have a cultural identity at all. So why is it wrong? Of course, it's something that bothers maybe a lot of people, but to be honest with you, maybe some have like a part of it, but not the whole thing. So for example, we have our own identity as a person, right? And we have just some base of the cultural identity, right? But it is growing in us without even us trying to grow it more, right? Despite us not wanting to develop it or even have to have it, right? With every communication we have, with every exposure to other people, events, we still will develop our cultural identity. So we are doing it without even actively trying to do it, right? And of course, the last myth that exists, it's that our own cultural identity is mainstream. Yes, so a lot of people believe that we interpret some situations or all of the things that happen around us the same way that others do. I think that this particular myth is very much used right now, and even before that, with all of the things, all of the events that are happening. Well, it's fine, don't worry. So the myth about our cultural identity being mainstream is used in some not very good deeds that others do, right? When it comes to deceiving us about our culture, right? And how it all happens. So usually, so why do people think that our cultural identity can be mainstream? Of course, it can happen because we all want to understand what is happening around us, right? And we do that usually by taking some shortcuts with generalization, yeah? So tell me in general, what happened, yeah? And when we hear that generalized information, we usually don't have all of the details, because I guess you will agree with me that for some people, those details, yes, those particular details of how something happened, who was at fault, why he or she, they were at fault, can change the perception, yeah, of the situation. But if you get this generalized answer, this generalized information, you will like just nod your head and say, oh yeah, I understand why it happened that way, because you are influenced by someone else's generalized view, right? And of course, we are guilty of stereotyping people, situations, all of the things that happen around us, because I guess you will all agree that when we have a student that is not attending lessons all that often, right? When they miss a lot of lessons, we usually think, oh, he doesn't want to, or she doesn't want to study. They're lazy. They won't have any good futures or something like that. But only when we hear from our colleagues, right, that, oh, that child is very prone to being sick or something like that, yeah? Or, for example, he is a kickboxer, and he usually in spring or in autumn, he usually takes part in a lot of competitions. That's why he's missing a lot of lessons. So when you don't have the full picture, you tend to use your stereotypes that you have already heard or seen, and they will not help you in a lot of times to make a good decision. And of course, when we have some stereotypes set in us, when we meet new people, yeah, we can create in our minds, we can create a vision of those people, right? But those visions may not always be correct. They may not always be true. Okay, so what is exactly social emotional learning, right? What is it, and how can we use it to our advantage when it comes to teaching our students English and our students learning English? So the social emotional learning is a process through which all of the young people, students, of course, in school, even adults or older people, can acquire and apply the knowledge, the skills, all of the things that they learned through their life to develop their own personality, to develop their own identities, traits, how they manage their feelings, emotions, how they achieve certain things. So yeah, basically it's something that helps create a person as a living being, as a person that can make their own choices, right? That can influence others, and of course be responsible for that influence, right? So I like to think that we all use social emotional learning, even despite it not being like written down in the textbooks, but we all use it every lesson when we tell our students about ourselves, how we do certain things, how we use certain things. So yes, it happens. So what are the components of the social emotional learning and how they can help in creating the cultural identity in our students? So first of all, it's self-awareness, right? So it's that the person knows what is happening around them and how to react to what they see, what they hear, and how to work with what they have, right? So without the understanding of their cultural identity, students can't understand who they are, yeah, who their family is, where they come from, what impact their family, or even they as a person, have on their own lives and on other people's lives. Yes, when a student is developing their cultural identity, it helps to build their own self-awareness of others, right? And of course, it helps to create new interactions with other people. So, and teachers, students, and others. We are not solitary beings, right? So we don't live by ourselves in this world, and we need to be able to interact with others. But to do that, we of course need to be aware of people around us, of things around us, and of course we need to be aware of everything around us. Next is social awareness. So how it's different, yeah, from self-awareness, and how it is similar to self-awareness. So social awareness is, of course, understanding how to react and how to interact with others, right? It's a part of self-awareness, some will say, but most of the time they are different things. So we need to help students navigate through different cultural situations, because not all of these students have the same level of knowledge of how to act in different situations in life, right? Of course, we go back to the statement that we are not living as just ourselves. To live fully, we need to interact with others. And to do that, we need to be aware of all of the other people living around us and how they are different, yes, from us, how those differences are not always bad, and probably not always good, but of course we need to know, and we need to teach our children, our students about that. And that way we will help our students have a almost complete picture of reality in which they live in, right? Next, we have relationship skills. Yes, so relationship skills, it's the skills that students need to be able to communicate with others. Yes, so how to express their thoughts without hurting others, how to listen to others, how to build good relationships. So there are a lot of different components for relationship skills. But of course, to make those relationship skills work, you need to be able to respect the culture, the cultural identities of others, because if you don't respect them, it always reflects on your actions towards those people. And of course, if those people that you show your feelings to see that you're not doing that good toward them, they will do the same to you, right? Next part of our social emotional learning, it's of course self-management. So once again, it's how we work within ourselves, yeah? How we regulate our thoughts, our feelings, how we make sure that our actions won't hurt others. And the last component, it's responsible decision making. You can see that they are all intertwined within each other, and there won't be one component without the other, but they are similar, but not always the same thing. Okay, so now let's move to our third part of our agenda for today. So how can we use the cultural identity in English lessons in the primary school, in the primary classroom? So of course it's motivation in language learning. I guess everyone will agree that, especially you all as teachers, right, that whenever you try to learn something new, be it a language or be it a skill, it's difficult and it's, of course, frustrating. So, but the reward, yeah, that nice feeling that you get after achieving that goal that you set for yourself is worth the effort, right? And of course, there's a lot of different ways to stay motivated while learning the language. But of course, you and your students need to find what's working, what's the most important for you. Yes. So for someone, knowing a language, it's the possibility of having the job that they want to have, right? For someone, knowing a language is a way of sharing their talent with others, yeah, because if they know English, they can write books. They can, in English, of course, they can write lyrics for the songs, yeah, they can create a different things when it comes to doing something for the world, right? And of course, when we talk about the motivation, so for someone, it's just a way, learning language, of course, is a way to get to know more about the world. So, for example, when I was studying in university, I got a task from one of my teachers. She told us that if we take an English book and we read it, we can take like 10 pages from that book, and we need to, whichever part you want, yeah, so there's no like the first 10 pages or the last 10 pages or from the middle of the book. You need to take 10 pages from that book, find a certain amount of unknown words to you, and try to understand them based on the meaning of the sentence. So don't look up, she told us like that, don't look up the meaning of the words in the dictionaries or online. Just try to think of the meaning of the word depending on the sentence, yeah? So try to make an assumption what is the meaning of the word. And to be honest with you, at first I thought it was like, what kind of task is that? Like, why do I need to do that? But thankfully, I was reading a book at that time. I don't remember the name of the book, sadly, but I remember that it was like some type of a sci-fi or fantasy romance or something like that. And I remember that I took the book and I took a pencil and I was like trying to underline the words that I couldn't understand without any outside help. And I got so involved in that my book was full of those underlined words. And I'm like, oh, I usually try to understand the meaning of the words by making those assumptions when I don't understand. Oh, now I understand why the teacher told us to do that, because that shows us that despite having a certain level of knowledge, of a certain level of vocabulary at our disposal, we still are not familiar with all of the words, right, in the English language. I'm like, oh, so that's why she told us to do that. And I'm like, okay, I will use that sometime during my work as a teacher. And oftentimes I ask my students, so not the primary students, but the high school students, to do that, to find a book that they would like to read in English language and work with the text from the book like that. So they very much enjoy it. But for the primary school students, you of course can use the stories that are already in the book, And you can ask them, so for example, you are studying new vocabulary, and you can ask them to look at the text and find the words that they don't know, and of course, ask them to make an assumption. Yeah, what can this word mean? And of course, it will motivate them even more to learn more words. So next time they won't have to guess. Yes, they will know for sure. Okay, our next way of using cultural identity while learning English, it's that cultural identity can promote language learning. I think a lot of students usually say, why do I need to study English? I won't need it, right? It's not useful for my future. And or they will ask, why do I need to learn the English language? And usually a lot of the teachers will say, well, imagine you will be traveling or you will need it for work, right? So the usual answer that we give to like make our students interested in it. And yeah, so when people think about the language learning, when we talk about older students, they just usually think about it as a skill that they have to acquire, right? Because they need to have some things to say. Yeah, you can communicate with foreigners. Yes, Margarita, that's like probably one of the answers that are used the most by teachers. I think the colleagues will agree with me in the chat box. But as we all know, language is, of course, connected, linked to the culture. Yes, because if we know the language, we are able to discover more of the cultural things about a certain country or even a certain nation, right? And of course, it's important in our age of, once again, digitalization to learn English, to connect with people who live outside of our country. Yes, now they like English more, use it everywhere. Yes, yes. So, for example, I think a lot of your students are watching TikToks, right? They are listening to English music. So not like English music in terms of the music being written by English-speaking people, but they usually listen a lot right now to music that is written in English language by different types of artists, right? And to understand what the song is saying, they need to translate the lyrics, of course, because the language that is used in the song is not their native one. But some words may not have the exact meaning as it's used in the vocabularies, in the dictionaries, right? Some words can be used as with some different meanings, yeah? So without actually learning the culture of the country, that the singer comes from, you won't be able to fully understand what the song is saying, right? So yeah, knowing languages can come in handy when it comes to doing different things, right? Okay, our next way of using cultural identity is, of course, inhibiting language learning for the students. So, of course, our culture is tied to our native language, yes? And for example, let's imagine that someone is a deep-rooted Ukrainian, right? And he or she doesn't see the need in learning a different language because they think that why do I have to learn? I'm sorry, I'm trying to change my lamp a little bit so you can see me more clearly. Yeah, so there are some people who don't see the need because they think that their culture is the best and it's enough. But of course, if you are thinking like that, you also at some point in life will probably want to share your culture with others. By doing that, you need to be able to communicate to those people. If those people don't know Ukrainian, the only way to communicate your things, your ideas, your thoughts is, of course, by using English, right? So, yeah. Despite what our students think, learning English is needed, not just for future job purposes or for just to pass the time. It's a skill that can come in handy when you least expect it, but when you need it the most. Okay, so I would like to share with you a few pages from our upcoming books for the second grades. When you can see some cultural things shown. So, for example, in Imagine for Ukraine 2, we have, of course, the culture pages that have different topics. We have the pages that are titled, Holidays in Ukraine. We also have some pages about Ukrainian families. So you will see that the names, of course, that are used on those pages are Ukrainian. Some cultural things, of course, are used from Ukrainian culture and from Ukrainian language. You will see, of course, so the Borscht Day in Ukraine. I really like this page because it will help your students not only talk about our traditional dishes, but also discover a recipe for making borscht. Also, we have holidays in the UK, so not just Ukrainian culture pages, but of course other countries' culture is displayed here. Also, Imagine for Ukraine 2 and of course Imagine for Ukraine 1 already has pages built into the book, which are called video pages, where you can watch the videos with your students and discover the different cultural things from other countries. So for example, here you can see that you will watch a video about a toy museum in Czech Republic, right? Of course, in Imagine for Ukraine, we have these awesome unit openers, and each unit opener has a picture of Ukraine or Ukrainian children on it. So I'm just showing you one, and you will see a lot more of them very, very soon. Irina shared a link in the chat box, so if you want to, you can look at the samples on our website, and of course, tell us your feedback. When we talk about Superminds 2 from Cambridge University Press and Assessment, so of course we have the culture pages here too, right? So we have the Christmas market, but it's not just a Ukrainian Christmas market. It's a Christmas market in general, right? We have the Ukrainian traditional food, so not only borscht, but of course we have голубці, we have вареники, we have сирники. So we have a lot of different cultural dishes, right? We also have a new feature in the Superminds books, the pages that are called skills, and they also have Ukrainian cultural components. And the people who work with Smart Junior, they are already familiar with the pages that are called Smart World, and they are full of Ukrainian components. Yeah, so not only the colors, but the descriptions of the classrooms in Ukrainian schools. The Mother's Day celebration in Ukraine, of course, how a child's room looks like in different countries. Yeah, so the Ukrainian boys' room and the Italian boys' room, right? And of course, Vyshyvanka Day. How can we talk about our national clothes? And of course, the culture. Yeah, so the Kyiv and its historical sites. Yeah, so that's the end. The end is coming. So as usual, my contact information, you can contact me if you need maybe some additional information about the courses. You can contact me if you need help with something. I'm here to help. If you have any questions about any of our products, you can always ask me. So it's fine. I'm happy to help you and answer all of your questions. Yes, сырники, so there's no direct word that can be used in English language. And we can only use сырники and write it in with English letters. Yeah, so we can't translate it. We don't have the correct word for it in English language. Okay, so when we talk about the Christmas times, yes, thank you all for submitting your students' works. So as you know, on January 12th, we stopped taking in your fairy tales, your students' fairy tales in, and the results will be out on January 30th, yeah, for the prizes for the results. And of course, once again, don't forget about this competition. We are hopeful that our books will be chosen once again, and we will do our best to provide you with the most support as we can, with the best support. So you know that we have a lot of additional resources for the courses. So we have Quizlet cards ready for the second grade books too. We also have a lot of vocabulary and grammar games that you can use with your students, so we can use the courses to their full potential. Okay, I see a lot of thank yous in the chat box. Thank you all for being here. Okay. You're welcome, Serhi. Thank you all for being here. Again, I missed you all very, very much. So I think that our first meeting in January was interesting. It was helpful to you. And I think that you will continue to help our primary students grow into the best versions of themselves as they can be. With them knowing and understanding their life choice, their goals in life. And of course, I think that our students are the best students with how they work in such conditions that we have. And of course, you are the best teacher community that we have. I'm always proud to say that I'm from Ukraine and I'm a part from a teacher community in Ukraine, because despite all of the hardships, we still come on top and we still do the best that we can. Okay, once again, thank you all for being here. And I will see you, as I tend to say at the end of my video lessons that I record. I will see you very, very soon. Have a nice evening. Have a nice week. And let's meet during my next webinar. Okay? Bye-bye.